Today on Shallibodhran, I'm doing a product review on the Hedwitschak CORELINE-Bullet, which is a 14-inch by 6, and I think 6 and a bit, or a 6-inch. They're about 6-inch deep drum. And the CORELINE-Bullet represents basically the more popular modern take on where Bodhran playing has kind of developed to, from being big, narrow-rimmed drums to sort of fatter frame, smaller diameter drums. So a quick note on what the CORELINE series is. For those of you who don't know, the CORELINE series is the entry level in the Hedwitschak, Christian Hedwitschak lines. The CORELINE series originally came from developments of the light line and various other light line, versions, and now has standardized itself in this. The CORELINE series has also been one of the series platforms that Hedwitschak has done projects on, like his charity Kentville Skin Drum limited edition run, which he donated money to a charity in Germany. And when I bought this originally, because this drum I think is a few years old now, I specifically picked the small body drum because I was only playing large body drums. I was playing 18 and 16 inch size drums, and I really wanted to try my hand at something small. So some really quick things. Aesthetically, it's minimal. It looks like a squished Duracell battery. Mine has a few stickers on it, including our little friend here. It's a laminate cherry wood. The drum has some weight to it. It's actually one of the heavier drums I own. My TR head actually weighs less than this thing. There is no ornamentation on it whatsoever. There is no extra binding put over it. It's just simply taped over frame to fully taped over skin. The skin is the Adlauer series skin, so it has a very medium attack, so it has a bit of springiness, but also because it's a smaller body drum, you tend to get that springiness coming back at you. So sometimes the attack, depending on the tipper that you're using, feels very, very light. And in other cases, it feels very soft by comparison. The inside of the drum is very simple and soft. When you pick any of these drums up, they have a very velvety, smooth interior, and the skin is ready to go right out of the box. So the break-in time is practically zero. If you're someone who is looking to get a drum that has minimal break-in time, you cannot get more minimal than this. Now, how has the skin aged over time? Well, my skin has become a little dirty and a little battle-scorn over my time with it. It is also my number one drum recording in studio. And why that is, like a lot of the Hedwitschak drums, they mic incredibly easily. And this line in particular, because of how Hedwitschak has designed this, and I don't know if this was intentionally or not, but the drum doesn't have any dead spots for sound. So if you mic it here, if you mic it here, or if you mic it through the back, there's no dead spots realistically. But there's a payoff for that. The payoff for that is a bit of a negative in that the drums tend to be quiet. Across many Bodhran forums, and especially on the session and other conversations through the Facebook page, people have mentioned that while they like the way the drum plays, the only thing that they wish that they could change is maybe get more volume out of it. Unfortunately, if you want more volume, you can't be going with the smallest model in the line. You have to go for the XL or the Classic or the Black Edition. Tuning is 6 4-point star tuning systems nestled off-center onto the tuning ring, which is nice because you can put your whole finger behind it, which is very helpful. What does this do for the interior for playing? It makes the interior feel really, really small. This is a 14-inch drum, and you're not getting 14 inches of travel space. You're actually getting about 12 and a half inches of travel space. So that means that you're hand sliding in and out. You have a bit of limitations there. But the drum's design, like the CORELINE series, is basically take one sound and transcribe it across the board of different type of architectures of drum building. This one is of no surprise. It has the fastest response, and it has the most compressed sound. So a lot of the highs get pushed down and a lot of the bass gets pushed in. So what you get, and I'm using a bundle tipper here, is really, really, really clear, concise, neat, with very little to no overtone. It's straight up easy to play. This is the easiest drum in the world to play for me because, number one, it's small. Number two, the tuning system type. It uses the comfort tuning ring. There is no other option. This is a good drum if you're looking to get into the higher lines of, say, Hedwitschak's lines, if you're interested in the more high performance stuff. So things like the Fireball, you got the money for that. The MONSS, which I think is probably his best design in small drums, or the Moff drums, etc. They're all basically small-bodied drums. Sound overall, if you're using tippers, I have one here. The sound is very intermediate. One thing that the drum has very well is bass note. There's a lot of bass and quick reaction to get bass effect in and out, especially if you're using, bundled tippers. Very simple. The midline and the high line, because of how the drum is designed, are squeezed further down. So the drum tends to shine somewhere in the lower mids into the bass line. That's where this drum really, really shines. And that tends to be where all the neat and cleaned up sort of aspects of the sound of the drum shine. The drum, however, for those of you who like really high cracking hits, this has a very compressed, it has a very limited top sound. And if you're looking at the Coreline series, you might want to look at the classic to bring out more of those extra pops, especially considering how the rim is designed. You'll end up getting more space inside the architecture of the drum. If you're looking for really, really super high pops, this is not going to be the drum for you. But what you're looking for is a general introduction to this sort of type of drum that mics very well, and you tend to like the bassier stuff anyway. This is quite bassy, even for its size. It's not bad. So yeah, I tend to find that if you're someone who likes to get that fluke sort of sound with the tipper, small body drums tend to be very simple. It's great. I mean, you get instant gratification coming off of this. The difficulty, however, is learning not to push too much. Because the drum is so sensitive and because you have such a small amount of space, you're going to be changing tones and whatnot very quickly. If you're someone who does a lot of fingertip playing, it's not particularly a good drum, but that's normal for any small body drum. If you're someone who's looking for a small body drum that you like to do sort of the Johnny Ringo finger techniques on the back of the skin, maybe what you should be looking for is a 15-inch drum, or if you really are looking at a 14-inch drum, look at a 14-inch drum that has no taping on it. You kind of need no taping to get that sound. So generally, what do I like pluses about this drum? Easy to play. It's very lovely constructed. In fact, the only thing I had changed was that I put some spacers in there. I think you can see them. And that's just because the humidity of where I live gets a little crazy and I need the extra push. One of the things I would be critical about is that inside in the tuning ring, it's so very thick that the amount of distance that the screws can travel is less than what you would otherwise get on a drum with a different design if, say, the screws were attached to the side frame of the drum rather than mounted into a ring. The benefit of the tuning ring off-center design, though, is ease of access for comfort of playing, so you're not having to squeeze yourself up against the side of the drum. And the other thing is rigidity. The thing's built like a tank. It really, really is. And it preserves all the beautiful grain in the wood. So it's a beautiful aesthetic piece. It's it's beauty and simplicity, the idea that less is more, and this happens to be a shining example of that. It's a very comfortable drum for me to play. It fits beautifully in the crook of my arm. It is heavier, but because it's so small, rolling in and back is really nice if you're someone who likes to do rim shots. And the nice thing about that internal tuning ring, this piece of architecture here, is that you can slide your thumb there and roll the drum back and forth without having to sit it on a weird angle rolling back and forth. You can roll this thing straight up and straight back to do rim shots. So if you're a person who likes to do trick playing on these types of drums, the Coreline series works really, really well because you have that little added that seatedness of the weight, but you also have the smallness and that internal architecture where you can get to grips with the drum really, 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 really fast. So it's nice. It's nice. It's very comfortable. I like the Ed Lauer skin very, very much. I think probably one of the coolest designs that I could think of would be a very sort of old school drum with no taping on it with one of these types of skins. And, well, if you're looking at that, you might as well be looking at the Cormac Burns series drums, which I think is probably one of the prettiest and nicest put together drums that Hedwitschak makes. Why have I not upgraded from this drum? Well, the reason being is because I'm very satisfied with it. Because a lot of the time this gets used in videos for yourself, or it gets put up with live playing through an amplifier system, I don't really feel the need to worry too much about over micing anything or worrying about the top ends not ringing too much. A lot of what this drum is playing along to is something where a ringing treble isn't really required, let alone desired. So for the sake of a lot of modern Irish music, it's small size and small pubs, for example. If you're crowded in, having a great big drum becomes a problem. And playing this in small groups, it's so much easier to play this in small groups. It's also a very easy drum to play quietly, to get a rich, full sound out of it, or loud. You can get quite a lot out of this drum. So that is the Hedwitschak CORELINE series. Competitors to this take a different route. I don't know any other major manufacturers apart from maybe Brennan White, Seamus O'Kane, or people who make any sort of standardized model set. What's unique in the CORELINE series is that it is the same general design done through different expressions. So this would be the modern small-bodied take. The classic would be sort of the standard, sort of slightly old school, but not quite too old school. The XL is the great big one, and I believe it's the light. I can't remember if it's the XL model, the extra light model, if you're a smaller person and what you need is a smaller frame on here. And then of course there's the black series. The black with the change head allows you to basically swap the heads in and out. So it's really, really versatile. I can see in the future maybe more people looking into the black series more so than the CORELINE series. The black series just seems to be right in the middle for size, for diameter. It's right in the middle for the size, for the dimensions on it. The wood is a little bit different. So it's the Makassar ebony veneer, which is very pretty. But again, it keeps the minimalism. And you have the versatility of using the change head system. So if you're looking to get a dragon skin on a small body drum, you can get that with the black series. Or if you want Lambeg skin or anything you want from Hedwitschak, you have the opportunity of getting a drum. Like basically it's like having a custom drum designed for you, but you can get it through a standardized model without having to pay a custom drum price, because we all know custom drums can cost tons and tons of money. The CORELINE series doesn't break the bank. It's a nice design. It's solid. It looks great. It makes a good sound. If you're going to have issues with volume, because these drums do have a very omnipotent sort of sound, which means the greatest amount of volume is being projected equitably. It's not being projected more acutely in particular directions. If what you're looking for is for a really, really, really loud drum, you may want to look at other models in the CORELINE series like the XL or you may want to look at other manufacturers like Ben March, Shane McGrath, Finnegan Hill, Seamus O'Kane, anyone else who makes something with a little more play up through the tuning ring, but also just that style. This is a very, very soft sounding drum by comparison. And if you're looking for something with a greater range in playing dynamics, you're going to have to pay more attention to the tuning rim, and you're going to have to pay more attention to the type of skin, the two biggest important things in the sound in Bodhran playing. And of course, what you're playing with and how you're playing. So hopefully this helps. Again, it's the Christian Hedwitschak CORELINE series. This is the Bullet model. This is the smallest model. Great Bodhrans on a budget, professional quality. There's not much to dislike. If there's anything to dislike, it's going to be your own personal taste in what kind of sound you like and what kind of playing style you like. And those are good reasons to shop around. Until next time, bye folks.